Good. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Rich, Brian, here, Chris, Nick, here.
Hi, at this time we'll open up the public session for anything on the agenda. Anything on the agenda going once? Okay. The district building report. Proceed.
All right, everybody heard it. We passed and we're moving forward. For wine and skill side, before I get into that, we did have to have the compressor for the cool vent fixed. A small tube broke off, the guy come over and fixed it, so I took care of it and it's all fixed. Minor repair. So on wine and skill side, the other night at the meeting, we did discuss the inventory. We got inventory from the trustees about all the furniture and everything we have in that building that belongs to wine and skill. We have to get a plan together to see what we want to keep. Some of the stuff that's aged, maybe we can donate it to floors down, maybe the desks or stuff like that. Maybe somebody else could use the old desk and things like that. Anything that we can use, like the tables and that, maybe we can reuse some of those tables downstairs in that little quadrant room down there. What we can use, we'll keep. What we could have to get rid of, we'll get rid of. And then we'll see what we need for connexes when the day comes when we have to get a connex or whatever for storage. So the more stuff we get rid of or sell to the or auction or whatever to our people, if some people want some of the stuff, some people may not want it. Maybe, like I said, maybe we can restore some of the old tables, because those table tops right now are only like 10 years old. Maybe we can get new feet or whatever for them, stands. Yep. But that's got to be discussed at our next meeting. I know between now and next meeting, we'll look at everything and figure out what we want to do with that. So when it comes time and it says, I want to start ripping walls down, we'll have that place emptied out. We'll be prepared. If it looks like it's going to be August, September, we can use the engine room downstairs for our meetings. If that place upstairs is empty for construction, and maybe we can use all the tables and chairs, Chris, downstairs in the engine room until we'll have our meetings or whatever down there. So we'll use what we can. We'll definitely get rid of the crap that we don't need, and then we'll move from there.
Sounds like you've got a good plan.
I once again want to thank the commissioner, Sean, for his effort, Terry for his effort to make this so very successful. It's like 112 to 2 or something like that. Yeah. If I heard the numbers correctly. And the building committee did a lot of work to get this far. So thank you. That's all I got. Unless any questions?
Great job on behalf of the committee. From what I saw, the public awareness stuff, all the presentation materials out there, the PowerPoint, the posters, it was all right on target. Did a great job. Did a perfect job.
I know, Rick, you weren't there that night, but the night of our public session at Wine and Skill, there was a half dozen people there that were townspeople.
Mm-hmm.
A few of them, I think, were from the county and or the town people, Kelly Hoffman and Kat from the ambulance. So everybody was right there.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
Guys did a great job.
Very good job, Joey.
So I guess, we, like you said, Rick, you had a valid question about where do we go next. I guess it's in Ed's hands for a little bit, then he's probably gonna come back and pick our brains about maybe putting some of these, rooms together or whatever, what we might need.
My question before the meeting was, what's the critical path? And it appears that the critical path is now with Ed and, the architect and engineering firms and all that. But we we collectively as a board, Wine and Skills Committee, Wine and Skills Fire Company needs to stay on top of all the tasks that we have to get done by before fall,
Right.
so that we don't become the critical
Well,
path.
and that's again, with Bob in our corner, he has a lot more education on some of this other stuff
So
than
if, like,
we do, and if Ed comes up with questions, hey, we need to sit down and look at this compartment, we need to look at this,
if
then
there's,
we can fill in the blanks.
if there's district stuff over there that's gotta either be surplus or temporarily moved over here for storage, the sooner we can develop a plan for that and have it
Right.
ready to go. If there's, and then like you said before, the Wine and Skills Fire Company stuff, the sooner that stuff's ready for either disposal.
I know you guys have some computers and things like that over there that you may or may not still be using over there, I don't know that, but that one room is, you know.
So we need to stay on top of that, that's all.
So I met with Dave Young like about a week and a half ago over at Wine Skill. We went through the IT room, all of the district older stuff, computer stuff, talked with Sean about a game plan for the district stuff. So we're formulating our plan. We'll be way ahead of schedule. So nothing will be in their way. And then with Rich, with your question about the architect, I did send the email that Ed Anchor sent about the AIA contract, because there will be two contracts. There'll be a contract for construction management and then the architectural contract. He just didn't have time to get those fully done to the board before this meeting. You'll have them for next meeting. He made it very clear that that's not going to hold them up or slow them down. They're going to continue to work, you know, with the committee, and we're pushing for that end of the summer when the documents are ready to go out somewhere in that vicinity.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Thanks, Bob.
Very good job, Doug. Answer your earlier.
Thanks.
All righty, moving on to President's report. The Priestville has a report this evening, and we'll serve the wine stuff.
I don't have any report other than like also take it back to the Priestville Fire Department and their members for supporting the renovation project both. So it's nice to see that both departments are working together, and hopefully we get this project through without any hitch.
Thank you. Approval of the monthly minutes and workshop minutes, 3.3.
Take a motion.
All in favor?
I abstain, so I wasn't at either meeting.
One abstaining.
Yeah, I'll abstain from either.
Good report.
Here comes the bank record we review and sign off on. Treasurer's report as of March 31st, the money market account has a reconciled balance of $1,542,790.60. It earned interest of $432 for the month. Of that total, $1.5 million, $568,212 for the general fund. $544,337 is for capital reserve equipment. $377,946 for capital reserve building. $52,283 is capital reserve repair. The checking account, the fund checking account had a reconciled balance $16,953.02. We earned $108.75 worth of interest for the month. Year to date on the checking account, $339.18 in interest. Year to date on the money market account, $901.14. Attached to the treasurer's report are copies of the bank reconciliations, the bank statements, a list of all the checks that were cut during the month of March, and a report of the actual expenditures to the budget for the year.
Motion to approve. Motion by Rich, seconded by, no,
Resolution to approve.
you're trying to appeal now. Resolution made by Rich, seconded by Brian. Roll call.
Rich. Brian.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
I did the invoices for the month, there's nothing that stuck out to me. Everything seems to be there.
Resolution to pay the bills.
Thank you.
Second that.
Seconded by Nick, roll call, vote please.
Nick.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Rich. Aye.
Correspondence.
Yes, received KeyBank FDIC insurance assets ending in 3/31/2023. Received a notice from Eclipse Network Solutions that they increased their contract by 10%. It's the first increase we've ever received from them since we started back in 2016. It was about $120 increase. And we also received some information from RBC Wealth Management. It's just another provider of a LoSAP program. And sent was a letter to the North Greenbush Planning Board regarding Partridge Hill Apartments on 3/17/23. That was it on correspondence.
Oh, thank you. Anything for old business? Anything for old business? Anything for new?
Buildings and towns. That's it.
All right. On to the chief's report. Chief, you want to start us off?
Let's see, we had a lithium ion battery incident down at Van Allen. Everything went well. We had some issues with the county response, but talked to Ray David. I think we're all good there. I know people were talking about doing our own packing of the batteries and stuff. We can look into that, but why use district resources right now when we could use the county? Apparatus maintenance, it's been pushed back by a week. It's supposed to be this past Friday. I guess the moments were busy, so we'll see how that goes. And then on the two purchases for the month, the bailout system and the rescue bags. Any questions, concerns, comments?
I do.
And just so you know, Chief Littlefield is on Zoom.
Okay. With the bailout system. Is this going to be for both sides of town or just this side?
That would be just for DFD. I spoke with Chief Littlefield on several occasions. We're not seeing interest in any dollars.
All right. Well, I think if we're going to make it standard on one side of town, we are one big department. You know, your explanation for the harnesses for the system, it's right on point with it. I 100% agree with it. You know, the town is not getting smaller. We are getting bigger. We're definitely getting higher. And I think this is something that needs to happen on both sides of town.
The bailout systems are the law, and I think we have to, support who's saying is that I know that the systems here in Traceland were what, probably 15, I was going to say 12 to 15 years ago, 15 years ago. Yeah, they're old, and a lot of them have been passed down. A lot of them are probably in possession of the third or fourth person to have that bailout system. So the care of them, it could be questionable. They're 15 years old. Let's just leave it that. So
I understand they had to be replaced, but I think it's going
right.
one side is doing something.
I think as Bob said, Chief Littlefield's on the line, maybe we'll discuss that with him.
I think that it should be done district-wide.
Yep.
I mean,
I communicated with Chief Littlefield. I mean, I can only communicate with him. I don't know what else you need me to do.
They only need to go to interior structural firefighters, so it's not like everybody's gotta have one.
You need to have a couple for training, because obviously you can't use them.
after you've already used them once.
Couple
Yeah,
spares for training.
18 interior, 2 for training and 2 spares for new members of the
So I guess, Chief Littlefield, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There any way that we can try to either form a list or try to make this happen on the other side of town as well?
Yeah, in the interest of saving the next 40 minutes of our lives. So the deal is DeFreedsville had a committee. DeFreedsville did the research on this system. So what I'm waiting for is the district to adopt that as a system. And then I'll generate a list of how many I need, and then we'll make the purchase. It's that simple.
So we are, yeah.
But there was one about 15 years ago, to be fair, the time it was Chief Alonso did zero interest, and the Lionsville Fire Department did not have to comply with labor law. If they didn't adopt a system at the time, by saying that they didn't have a system, they didn't have to comply with Department of Labor law. That was the initial holdup 15 plus years ago. The DeFreedsville harnesses, I think their life expectancy is 7 to 8 years. They're almost double that already. And I know there's been numerous attempts over the past decade to get Lionsville on board with this. So,
All right, gentlemen, realize I'm not being difficult about this.
oh, no, I
I'm not-
understand. I just don't give
I
it-
just, you guys pick what system you want, and then we'll buy them. That's where I'm at.
All right, okay. So did everybody see the system that was passed out and change the boots? I know you guys already use it. We'll take Lionsville guys, probably some training with the help of the Freesville. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's a newer system to us. I mean,
Yeah, that's a different system than what DeFreedsville's been using.
This is different. So
It's
it's a
an
good opportunity
far upgraded.
for us to adopt this system and do a nice, if we do the joint drills, is one night, get all everybody together. If it has to come down to, it's a mandatory drill, everybody's gotta be here for your interior, and I'm not gonna get it, but at least get a good count of people here to go through this way here. If anything does have to go back, we can do a separate night of training.
And the only thing I will add in some of my research, I was told by the manufacturer to contact, and the name's not going to come to me, but it's Dave Benedetto, who's a West Albany firefighter who runs a company that does specific training on this exact system he is a recognized dealer that does training for this system. And I did speak to him. They asked him if they would give us a quote on the product. He says, we don't sell the product. We just do the startup training. So I'm just saying that so the chief knows that.
Is there additional cost for startup training or?
Well, yeah, no, that would be something completely different if we had his company come in for a night to do the training. But I guess what I'm saying is you could do that because it is a new system that the chiefs and I could work that out at that point for both
So
departments.
at $400 a setup, my quick math told me, based on 26 sets at $8,800. You got to figure Lionsville's got at least as many interior. So, I mean, we're going to be dropping a good amount of money.
All right, so I was taking a guess that everybody's on board. We have to make a follow-up for this.
But the question is, do we go ahead and order the 22 sets now? Or do we wait for, is there a significant cost savings in holding the order and putting it all together? Or do we just, at least get the start?
Well, I think it would be a question for the chief and how, long it would take the chief to get us some numbers for him, which probably wouldn't be too long, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, Adam, do you have a number of, how many interior structural firefighters do you have right now? You know, offhand?
Sorry, I couldn't get the mute button. We're right around the 30 mark, so I can confirm that with Bob later on, and we'll get that in motion because there's also the gear coming up for next month anyway, so we can take care of that. Because we're probably also going to need some sets for training purposes, right? Because you can't exactly.
We're looking at roughly $21,000 by the time you factor in both of them. I would make a resolution, we can't, we gotta go to bed.
Over 20, I think Chief Littlefield kind of hit the nail on the head. You're kind of doing this backwards because the process is you do an assessment, you determine what system it is that you need or want, and then you provide it, you train on it,
Right.
and then you document it. So there's been a decision made, and say it's wrong.
Based on an assessment.
But was there an assessment done? Did the board do an assessment or revisit the assessment and make a determination what's needed? That kind of goes to what the chairman was saying, that the board, you really need to say, this is what we want. And then, not that you can't do these things simultaneously, but it really ought to be a district determination that this is the system you want. If you're comfortable with it, then do that, modify what you did back in 2009, I'm guessing, and adopting whatever systems you had, and then go forward with procurement. But you're right, when you're pushing up on 20 grand, you're into competitive bidding, but if you're also more than doubling your order, you're probably gonna get a better price point. No?
No,
I just don't want to, I don't want to see this unnecessarily delayed,
it's more.
but.
Then do standardization resolution and do that system. Standardize for that. I mean,
Right.
you can't get a hodgepodge of Crosby hooks and sensors and bags and all that, so that's a complete system. Standardized for that.
I mean, it's been a 2-year process. I mean, before my time that they've been working, not as on the board, but on our side of town, the department's been working on trying to figure out what the best system's been. So it's taken a couple years to pull the trigger.
Do you find this to be the best system?
Dan Sheen did a ton of the homework on it, but yes, in our meeting last month, we sat down and looked at the systems.
This is
The biggest system out there.
this is a near foolproof. Yes, I see you've got the break in there. The old system was basically, you took your Pompier hook and you wrapped the hook 3 times. And you just depended on that friction. This, the device, and actually, based on Labor Department information that came out since, it's questionable whether that really met the standard. This has actually got a descent device that's built into the system that controls that, properly controls that descent, allows the firefighter to actually mechanically control how quick or fast he or she wants to get out.
It's like a dead man switch. Unless you're squeezing it, you're not.
Yeah, right. Where the Pompier wrap, the dead man's feature was,
Yeah.
you weren't squeezing it, you fell.
Yeah. Personally, I like the brake. See them. Not break, good break.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the brake.
Yeah, we've had reps in here over the last couple of years going over several different styles.
Yeah, you got 2 hands that come out of everywhere because you got the brake. Yeah. So you pull the handle, you can lower or come down.
And Sterling is is probably the top name in that business right.
So Terry, you're saying that we would have to
Why don't you adopt that as your
adopt this as our standard?
I would make a resolution that this become a standard rope rescue bailout system for the North River Fire District.
Ryan, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Nick. Roll call.
Rich.
Aye.
Brian. Aye. Chris.
Aye.
Nick. Aye.
And the next resolution should be to standardize that system
purposes of procurement.
Absolutely. Make a resolution that we standardize this system across the board, both companies, for purpose of procurement, so we have a standardized system townwide, district-wide.
I'll second. Nick will second that. Roll call.
Nick. Aye. Chris.
Aye.
Brian. Aye. Rich.
Aye.
How do you want to work that? Do you want?
You want to just take what you've done in the past?
Yeah.
Do an abbreviated, this is a clearly health and safety issue. So I would just work that into the minutes rather than a standalone resolution.
Okay,
We can talk about it tomorrow, but it's,
okay,
that will help you navigate around the $20,000 cap.
right.
I mean, it's close, but with the standardization.
Yeah.
And again, this stuff has to be standardized.
I think we tell the vendor that, look, we're buying X number of these.
Yeah, we're not, I could tell you right now, just like if we were to buy 100 of them, there might be a savings. So I'm just saying we're not going to see that number go down because.
But I think if we were to tell him that, gee, if we keep it under $20,000, we might be able to speed up the process rather than having a couple months
Yeah.
worth of.
I mean, you got a 6 to 8 week.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't want to hold you up on it. We'll do that right. But yes.
And even though we're not getting New York State contract pricing because the quotes I got were less than that. Okay, the vendors that are certified to sell it under New York State contract knew I was getting quotes, so they said, right, we're gonna sharpen the pencil. That's why we got a much better price.
So you got the explanation of the green sheet to go.
Oh,
It's kind of outside the lines on it.
Correct, and I make a notation
Yeah.
of that, so.
But the standardization, it's the same number, same 103, 60, or 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The other one you did.
I just did the one on the forcible entry
Yeah,
door.
okay, so yeah,
Just kind of doctor that
Yeah.
up.
but that's the rationale here is really, hey, health and safety.
Right.
All right.
So, as far as the purchasing of this, are we gonna then hold off until next month to actually purchase it? Or was that second resolution to go ahead and make the necessary purchases based on what the wine skill chief says, how many they need?
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so Adam, I'll work with you on that too.
Before we.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I got some work to do first. I don't want to do anything until these standardization things are done, and then we'll get
In
with
order,
their
conduct the
accountants.
training, issue them.
Well, meaning get the resolutions done first, and then we'll get Adam's count added to it, see if we can get a better price on the purchase. Okay.
All right, you all set there too?
Well,
Lions, what happened?
You still have their one other purchase.
Road bags.
Yep.
Oh, the road bags. 3 road bags, I believe they were 3 cheese vehicles. $227.44. I'll make a resolution that we purchase 3 road bags. Second. Roll call.
Rich.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Okay. These purchases are done. Rituals done. Now Lions goes.
Sorry, I'm fighting this mute button here tonight. So you should have our stats for the month and then purchases. Just some miscellaneous stuff, I believe. Bob, do you want me to go into the air compressor stuff and squad 4-2 stuff, or?
That's under apparatus and equipment, the next, after your report.
Okay. So I'll wait to be addressed then.
Was it a purchase? Did Adam have purchases?
Yeah. Adam, you didn't give me any small purchases. Are you talking just like stuff that
I
we
just
bought?
had that, I just had the hardware stuff and cleaning supplies, that stuff. That's
Yeah,
all I had.
that stuff, that just goes through normal.
Okay.
Yep. The gear is gonna be next month, so. Sean can have his heart attack next month. The only other two items I have are gonna be covered under other topics, so.
All right. You're good for your report?
Yep.
Okay, now we'll go into the standing committee reports, apparatus and equipment. Adam, if you want to start with, between you and Bob, with the air compressor.
Okay, so when we say air compressor at Wine and Still, we're talking about the Cascade SCBA system. So as everyone knows, it's from 1998. It was originally designed for the 2200 bottles. So basically what we've been dealing with the last several months is it's showing its age. So we've sent out the parts that could be the culprits of the issues. There's been some issues with sensors. A lot of the O-rings have failed. Basically going back and forth with Sherman Air on service calls. So some of the paperwork that we have is kind of a future planning for replacing that piece of equipment. Obviously, it's not something that we're gonna, push forward for tonight, but it is on the long range plan. Bob, I believe you said it's 2027, right?
Yes.
Roughly. So just some documents that, we can reference to prepare ourselves. At this point, it is functional. It is serving the purpose. But we're also kind of in that monitoring stage to see, which way it's going to act. So.
All right, and as you guys can see, there's three different quotes. One being replacing the full system for $73,000. Shake your head no. Thank you. The other quote, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, is the $7,431. That is just to replace the fill side of it, not the compressor side, just the fill side.
No, the $7,431, that is to take care of the problem that we're having with the computer system faulting. So all it is it's a workaround that will kind of remove the computer system that's in the Cascade system now to the wall. And we won't have these fail codes shutting the system down. We asked the vendor to provide us with this because they sent out the CO monitor last month. It came back from Eagle. It was okay. So that really ruled out, we know it's the computer system. At any given time, that system can fault again, correct, Joe?
Yes.
And we could be right back in the same ball game. So we were we asked the chief, get a quote, what it would take. I will tell you that $7,431, if we migrated to a new system 2 years from now, a year from now, 6 months from now, will do us no good. It's just a patch to take care of the immediate problem with the old computer technology in the Cascade system. The other quote for $26,721, that's just for the fill station. That's the fill station because right now that system was designed, as was stated by the chief, for the 2.2s. And you can put 4.5s in it because the compressor will fill up to 5,000. However, the explosion rating on it is only rated for the 2.2 bottles. And that's been the case for many years now. And the conversation that Sean and I had with Mr. Sherman from Sherman Air, we said, is there anything you can do to the current configuration to make it compliant for the 4.5s? He said, absolutely not. You can't do anything to that. So his comment literally was, it's not safe. Correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Open the door for.
right. He said it's not safe to be filling 4.5 bottles, and I understand that have been taking place, but that was his comment. And Mr. Sherman also indicated to us that because of the age of the air compressor, they no longer really make any kind of parts for that particular air compressor. So if that air compressor were to go down with a block issue or something, you're out of business unless you could find one in a boneyard someplace. But he said he doesn't have anything for that particular one, that Eagle unit. Now, if you bought the fill station and put the new fill station in, and then 6 months, a year, 2 years later, you decided to buy the air compressor, you could do that, okay? Because they're two separate units. There is some lost cash, there's some lost value because of just moving stuff around and then rehooking it up and doing this and doing that. So you lose some value as opposed to buying the two together. The Freesville system is an Eagle Air system as well. So it's the same. That's a good thing. So they're both Eagles.
I mean, we have a long range plan. It was looked at. The unit was just scheduled to be replaced in 2027, as was mentioned. If we can repair it for $7,500 and limp it along till then, that's great. It keeps us on target. However, when I looked at the numbers for 2027, we were looking at 40 grand in 2027 money. And if it's 73,000 or 73.5 now in 2023 money, I can only guess where it's going to be in 2027 money. So that plan is going to have to be amended down the road as we go forward and say, all right, it's going to have to be done in 2027, but it's not going to cost.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I was on the phone with Bobby and sales rep, and kind of my concern about the whole thing is this is almost a deadly piece of equipment.
I was about to say this.
it's what?
Deadly piece of equipment. Somebody could get killed by this thing.
That door is.
And this, to my point, rises to an emergency. And I know we don't necessarily have it in the general fund for this, but we do have a capital reserve repair fund of $52,000 that, if Terry agrees, they can use that to take care of upgrading the safety portion. And then, and I don't mean to do it this way, but then it would fall in line a little bit easier in the long range plan, because we don't have to buy the other half of the system instead of buying the entire system. Because if we replace the fill station part, then we only have to buy the compressor part in the future. But I just think it's somebody could lose their head. And he told me that past chief casino said, we all know we fill it and walk away. Nobody ever told me that walk away from that thing. That used to be my favorite job, is filling those bottles. I'd sit there bullshitting and thanks a lot, Joey.
I don't have any money invested in this, but
Not my blessings.
Leaning closer next time.
But I just want to put it on the table that
I mean,
we do have money in it.
It's a legitimate safety concern. And
Yes.
well, that's what I was about to say. I don't want to say anybody why skill or anybody get hurt over there or something like this, especially now that we have knowledge of this. You're kind of cold blooded, that's the proper word, but we know there's an issue now. And you know, you can't rely on pray for 3 years,
Right,
4 years.
right. If something were to happen, now that we all know.
if I may, like, I've been dealing with Chuck a little bit over there, just meeting him, and he was educating me on the machine a little bit. And he did bring this up to us a while back. And I said to him, being stupid because I don't know nothing, I said, if we do one at a time instead of 3 bottles at a time, you take some of that fear factor out of there. And he goes, it doesn't matter if you do 1 or 3 at a time. If one of them happens to let go,
Right.
It doesn't matter, it's a roll of dice.
And my thought was, couldn't we just, you know, what goes into those tubes? Saying, couldn't we just replace those tubes and maybe the slider door, couldn't we? We said, no, we couldn't. He said, so that's just additional shrapnel. It's gonna be coming at us if one of those bottles were to explode. I really put a knot in my stomach and I'm like, we gotta take.
How much,
care of this.
how much do we have in that reserve for?
52,000.
And you're looking to just do the fill side of it?
We have to do the fill side and the repair, right?
Well, the sales rep kind of sounded like that would be kind of.
There's a workaround with the 7431 figure. And here's the workaround. And he said this, that many systems don't even have a CO monitor in them. The AFG grant always makes you put the CO monitor in it. So like, let's say, for instance, you get another error code because and you wanted to bypass the CO monitor. You could bypass the CO monitor, do quarterly error testing, and chances are you would be okay with the machine running okay and not going into this fault. However, if something happens to the block, the compressor, that's a whole different situation. But if we're looking at the computer side of it, that's what he said you could do. Right now, he said that thing could run 6 months in a year and not throw another error code. That's exactly what he said to shut the machine down. So invest in the 7431. It may not be the best investment at this point.
And he suggested quarterly testing.
Right, he suggested quarterly testing. And that's not very expensive for him.
It's not really feasible either.
Well, they suggested the quarterly testing.
But you normally have it tested anyway, right?
Yeah, we normally have it tested.
Is it gonna be a pain in the neck to get quarterly tested?
Well, he said if you bypassed the CO monitor, if you had to bypass the CO monitor because you were having this computer fault again, then you could do more frequent error tests just to certify that the air quality meets the standard. He said, but you could run this for another year and not have a problem. You could run it for 2 more years and not have a problem. It's just another workaround. That's what he was trying to give us, is options of workarounds, because he made it very clear that the 7431 that's literally just a workaround right now, and you're not going to be able to reuse that in the future.
So would your recommendation be to just do the fill station at this point?
Well, that's
Based on your conversation with him?
based on the safety aspect, or if there's other options.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Talking to Bob earlier, my thing is we have a fill station currently here, that if the bottles had to be used, most likely we'd be working together using bottles. Or if you guys had something, we have spare bottles that are sitting in the firehouse, and we could loan you until the bottles are got older or whatever, vice versa, more probably for our side, loaning the bottles until we got our bottles filled. That way there, we can hopefully, with everything going on, maybe just get a brand new station put in. And not have it come out of any of our capital reserves.
That's scary. Not to.
Now that this one's up to par, I understand these guys here. I don't know if you guys have seen that door. That door is just a diamond big door. It's not very thick. And one of our bottles goes up in there. It's a plastic tube, I believe. There's not, it's aluminum. Aluminum plus that door, and try to hold that back. And all the controls are right there in front of the door. So everything, if it does go, if it doesn't, everything's going right to the mid body of this everybody. So, I mean, we have one here that works completely fine.
So our options then are to either take it out of service and say no more use of it, or and just use this one or replace the fill station.
Or replace.
Well, you want to replace the fill station anyway, so that's why I'm kind of saying, if Terry agreed, you could use the repair fund, this is a price.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use the repair fund
It's a little bit different than your current or capital reserve. What we have to do tonight is 2/3, so we have to have 4 of you vote in favor, all of you have to vote in favor. You know, one of the few things, one of the only things where you can vote 3 votes, so. But if you take it out on an emergency basis, you'd have to pay half of it back next year, 2024, and half of it back in 2025. If you don't want to pay it back, then you'd have to schedule a public hearing at 5 days notice. And then have a special meeting to authorize the expenditure of that money. So it's a little bit different than your typical 30-day referendum, but you could theoretically pass a resolution to take the money out tonight, provided you paid half back in 2024 and half back.
And I think budgetary wise, that wouldn't be a big hurdle, 13 going into that.
We always had money, you always want to know where money at the end of the year anyway.
13, 14 grand.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, personally, I would say, go ahead and replace that. I mean, if we get the error code, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, you still can get the error code with the new fill station, correct? Or is that tied?
Yes,
So if
yes.
the error code is down for what, a day or two? Or how long?
We'd have to get Matt Sherman over there to take a look at it, see if he can clear it. Joey has been able to clear it in the past, but you may not be able to do that.
I'm just thinking
Every time it's.
$7,500 versus a couple service calls. Because that 7,500 is lost when we go to a new system. Right.
It's lost, yes.
So. I mean, the money was the big concern. I mean, honestly, you can't, it's not worth their lives.
No.
And and if you're gonna wait to see what happens with like the bond and the building stuff, 5-6 months without a system.
So we need, I'll make a resolution then, we, as on an emergency basis, we take the money out of the reserve for repair. We buy the new fill station for the $26,000, 26,721, with the intention of repaying at least half next year.
And the other half the following.
And then the other half the following year.
Second. Second by Brian.
I'm sorry. Do I have to publish this to, no, it's not required like the other ones. Okay.
Bob's gonna put general municipal law 6D as a dog in his minutes.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Nope. It was seconded by Brian.
Got a question for you.
Roll call.
Rich?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
That's your 4 votes.
I guess it's secondary question now is for now going forward to this place. I assume that's on.
Okay, yeah, I definitely would not want anybody using that.
Yeah.
Right. Especially knowing that it's not meant for the bottles that we're using. Until that is fixed, I guess.
Yeah,
Free arrangements to come over here and fill, just come over
Brian,
here.
you
and
want
talk
to
to me.
red tag that? We'll red tag it, so.
I mentioned
it's
that,
out of service.
absolutely.
It's got the
Absolutely.
lockout or
It's
whatever.
got a red tag, locked out, whatever.
Tag out. Every guy
I know there's gonna be complaints, but
I believe you can turn the power right off. There's a tag you can put right on that power switch, so
Yeah, we
you can
can-
turn it back on.
I can figure it out.
So I know we do have some spare bottles laying in the back. So, I mean, yeah, there's like, if it's a car fire, 2 or 3 guys, then these bottles are okay for that one time. If it's anything major, obviously, we'll have to come over here and fill.
So the question for Terry, and I, because this was all like within the last couple of days, so I really didn't do anything on this procurement wise. I'm gonna have to find out from Eagle Air if they're on NPP, if they're on Sourcewell or New York State contract. I'm not sure.
Well, actually, since you declared it an emergency, there's also another provision that will allow you to do that. So it's emergency for taking the money out and emergency for procurement as well.
Okay, so can I include that in the
Yeah.
same, so the
Yeah, that's-
procurement, and is that a different section?
Yeah, it's GML 103. I'll get to the subsection in a second.
didn't we say that the compressor here is an Eagle and the one we bought for the training center is an Eagle?
No, that's a Bauer. Ours is an Eagle here,
Okay, but for standardization purposes, you could say,
right? But at least what Terry's saying is there's a provision for procurement and for the,
Getting the money out.
yeah, getting the money out, so.
Alrighty, so we're all set on that. Adam, you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Do you want to go on with the squad 4-2?
Okay, so what that is just the 2023 version of what I proposed last year. Basically, it's it all kind of starts with the replacement of the Knox box to the new Wi-Fi system. And then while the truck is there, there's some other issues that need to be corrected as far as broken warning lights, broken switches, couple electrical gremlins that need to be addressed. I know the issue last year was some of the verbiage as far as, kind of open with time and material. Sorry. So basically the discussion with the vendor is no additional items would be done without approval. And then the stuff that is time and material, that will be, once they see the truck in person, they'll let me know if it's going to be something egregious for a dollar amount. But I mean, the one thing, it's the warning light device. I mean, that's literally a magnet. So it wouldn't be a ridiculous amount of money. And then the flickering compartment lighting, they're pretty sure that's just a ground that needs to be cleaned up. So
what's the 40 grand for $4,500 for then?
that's the grand total, roughly.
That includes the Knox box?
Yep.
Okay.
Right, but that $4,500 does not include item number 4, and that does not include item number 7, because they're saying time and material on that, and they can't determine that yet.
Right.
And I've never done like a cover.
I lost you.
You still there?
Yeah, I heard something, but then it went out.
I'm telling you guys that all this is covered under warranty. If we got price tags next to it.
Well, the truck is now 11 years old, so all this would be fresh work. So warranty wise, like the new light bar to go on the front to replace the broken one, all that kind of stuff, that would have a, service warranty with it. But I mean, in our dealing with this vendor over the last 11 years, I mean, their service is second to none. So
Yeah, I just driving it all the way down to Connecticut, all this is my little dilemma. I don't know how anybody else feels, but that's just me.
all it costs us to deliver it is fuel. It's roughly a 2-hour drive. These are the company and the same employees who built the truck 11 years ago. So they're very familiar with all the systems on it. There's approximately 4 of these trucks out there in circulation that are all similarly equipped. So as far as trying to go to one of the local vendors, as Shane, as Chief Clute kind of mentioned, they're busy. So to get it in there for a truck they've never touched before, it's not even close, not even going to happen. So.
We have a good question about
I mean, I know this is what we're gonna do once they hit the 10-year mark to keep these things running, so I have any issue, charges a couple of times.
Got to keep it running. Look at the cost versus replacing it.
To run for a good distance. Clean out.
Running it down there for that repair is really not much different than running it. I mean, we ran it down to Sutton in Pennsylvania just to blow the dust out of them. And down there just to blow the dust out of them. It worked well for them both, I think.
And just as a caveat, gentlemen, what they don't mention here is they do buy lunch for whoever delivers and picks up the truck. So if anyone's interested in going with me.
Fast.
Do I have a resolution to go with the quote from Guy and Knight for 4,560 plus?
Make the resolution. Like, go from down night.
Do we have anything there to cover overages? Or is it just, quotes, just the initial quote?
Yeah, it's my-
Adam, how fast do they usually get back to you with pricing if they find with the two line items that don't have amounts next to it?
I mean, those are the first two things they want to look at, Chris. So I'm thinking they'll be able to kind of give me a rough idea as I'm standing there. So, you know, if you want to budget, you know, just for numbers purposes, if you want to put 2 hours on each one, just to kind of have some numbers there. I mean, I don't have a calculator in front of me to kind of give me a cap, but
I was just thinking, like here we're putting parts on. It's a repair, we don't keep it. But
Right.
it's a repair, just give it to the quote and repairs.
yeah, if it's something egregious, obviously I'm gonna let the
We
board know.
can put we can send a letter with them with a cap if it's over a certain amount, they need to get approval, just like sort of what we do with Vandermolen right now too.
Okay, so I have a motion made by, a resolution made by Dick, seconded by Brian. Whoa, Rich. Aye. Brian. Aye. Chris. Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. All right.
Thank you.
Pretty certain no possible temporary shed. Building and grounds. Brian.
Yeah, your Dropbox, you see there's a letter here from Miller Animal Hospital. It's under the same area where the standard reports are for Galvin and everything. Basically, long story short, they're looking to build a shed out here.
Well, it's a pre-manufactured shed.
Drop a shed, basically. It'd be like 10 feet from our property line, the town goes 12 feet, or go up for a variance or something. It's kind of looking for if we're okay with that. We're talking 24 inches here, and they've been good neighbors, and it's temporary. It's the key part. It's not gonna be a permanent structure, but I'm sure one of the questions when we go to the town for the variance is gonna be,
Don't you guys got a lot of trees on this side too? You really won't see it. Sorry. I didn't want to letter.
basically looking for okay with it. We're okay with it. I mean, I imagine it's just a phone call. Just call them up, say, yeah, the board said yes.
They just wanted to be good neighbors to the district and the board. Like before they went to the town, they wanted to just say, this is what we're looking to do. And that's why she sent it. And obviously their bigger plan is building the new vet building, and that's to come. And I'm sure they'll probably take that shed at some point and then plop it, you know, somewhere in the back of the new building. I think that's their plan down the road.
Maybe it's okay. I'm just making a motion. If we have to even do a motion.
Yeah, I think you should just memorialize it and offer a letter if they want. Again, so just the appropriate documentation.
So I'm making a motion to approve allowing them to put their temporary shed.
I'll second.
Second by Nick, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. District personnel.
Oh, no, there's a couple other small things, but
Oh,
basically, there was over the past month, we found a leak out in the water closet, so to speak. It's the backflow relief valve on the domestic water supply line, which is good to get that repaired. The lettering on the DFD doors is complete. And just acknowledging that we did receive an email from the DFD building committee that they've been working on a whole bunch of little repairs and cleanups around the station here. And I want to thank everybody for their time and after going into that. Some of the project's been completed, they still have some more to do, but it's quite a lengthy list that Bob provided.
I didn't see that.
It was in an email previously.
Yeah, that was a very long list.
It is appreciated. What's being done.
Send that back to the committee. Thank you.
Well, it's gonna go back to you anyway.
No report.
No report. Finance, insurance, audit. Vicky?
I'm gonna defer this to Bob because I'm not sure what this is, monetary stuff.
That one's Sean's.
Or Sean's.
So one of the things the auditors kind of ding me on each year is, we need to have better internal controls over expenditures, particularly, checks that we cut. And, so I wrote up a suggestion, and what we're gonna have Bob do is Bob's gonna receive the, so most of the, sorry, there is a document there. Most of the wording on the document comes from our organizational, agenda that we adopt a procurement policy that certain payments can be paid in advance before the meeting, so we don't get hit with service charges and fees. Also talks about having using the voucher system, except and the list of the exceptions, so on and so forth. That each month the invoices should be reviewed by one commissioner and presented to the entire board for approval, which we do. Payments in excess of $500 need more than one signature. We need 2 signatures. So I kind of like took the financial steps that we use and kind of put it into one document. But then the auditor suggested we have not me open the bank statement, but have somebody else open the bank statement and review the bank statement to look at the checks, see if any of the checks are made out to my wife, something like that for a significant dollar amount, any unusual checks. Verify that the checks that were written that exceeded the $500 threshold do have dual signatures on them. And he thought it would be better. He thought Bob doing it was okay, but Bob's also involved in the whole purchasing process and so forth. So him and I could be working together, and I even make it out to Diana check instead of Janice. You know, you're doing that. So then the next, but he was okay with Bob looking at it initially. But then what we're going to do, the commissioner needs to review it as well. He says that would be the optimal situation as the commissioner review the bank statements. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the bank statement to the front of the invoices. So who's ever reviewing the invoices will also flip through the bank statement and just sign off on each page that they observed the checks that were cleared and that none of them were seen out of order or fictitious or anything like that. So just a little extra step just to, in case state controller does get in here and say, hey, why are you doing that? Okay, so that's.
And they had no problem with our rotation of.
No, they were fine with that. Yeah, and that all of, because we do provide you all with the list. That was, yeah, so they're doing all of that. So I don't know if we really got to adopt this because many of the policies are already approved. This is a new step.
I would make a resolution to be added, because it is finance, be added to our policies and procedures, district policies and procedures.
Okay.
It's just not a firematic one. And Bob, can you format it so that, I mean, it's got to have a different header.
Yeah, it'll
So it looks like the rest of the policy.
it'll go in with the other ones. Yeah. It'll get a number just like everything else.
So, okay, so that was on the,
Call it internal financial controls.
Internal financial controls. Okay.
then my next thing on here was, I reached out to, Don Cormick at, Anchor Green County, who had the lowest. Oh, I'm sorry.
The resolution to.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know we said motion.
A resolution made by Rich.
I was just trying. I didn't
You're
leave that.
trying to get it done though.
Nick.
Aye. Yeah, correct.
Brian.
Aye.
Rich.
Aye.
All right. Next was, I did reach out to the bank that had the lowest estimated or quoted interest rate and to see what the next steps were. Terry, I didn't know if you had any insight as to where I should be going next. Or just work with the bank directly?
Yeah, I mean, that, you're, this is kind of the question that came up before the meeting, where are we in the process? And, you know, when do you think you're going to incur your first expense? And then you have to play the, do we close?
Yeah, we talked about that
And
first expense.
typically, to try and close as close to the time you need the money, but if you're staring at increasing interest rates, it might be wise to close early. And from looking at your calendar, it really doesn't matter whether you close in April or August, because you're going to make your first payment in April of 2024 anyway, after you get your money. So there may be, I mean, if you can figure out what's going on in the money markets, you know, financial world, God bless you. We're looking at an inverted rate curve now and all that. So, yeah, it may be wise to close sooner if you, as long as you know you've got expenses coming in the not too distant future. But I mean, realistically, your first payment will be a year from now. Whether you borrow the money now or whether you borrow it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we had talked about, because it's, as you were saying, the sooner I pay, the savings on the interest rate kick in. And he was wise to know that I don't receive my tax money until the end of February, so he said for the beginning of April. So, okay, so I'll move forward with down on that. Then one other item that I had on here was we did currently use KeyBank as our primary banking organization. KeyBank has really been hitting us every month with a minimum of $50 fee. It's been even more than that. And then checks. They don't give me free checks anymore. And because of the municipal nature of our organization, they don't allow me to actually access, like I can't scan the checks, make them reimburse me for a cell phone bill. I gotta go to KeyBank and stuff like that. So anyways, Bank of Greene County is very interested in having us as a customer doing banking there. And it would be convenient for making the, the payments for the bonds and so forth, because it'd be right in-house. I could, for checks, I think it was under $1,000, I could deposit them using the phone, which I mean, besides the tax check. And they're opening up a new location on 9 and 20. I guess you get to the end, take a left. I might be the old KeyBank. There used to be a KeyBank or First Niagara. That might be there. So they're going to be opening that up in May. So it's not, I mean, for the 3 times I got to go there a year for a check like that, it would be out of the way. They did quote me some interest rates, but that's always subject to change. But they were equal to or better than what we're currently doing at KeyBank.
What about fees?
And no fees and free checks. And that was another conundrum. After I printed all these checks, I only have about 15 checks left over. So if I go and order more checks, it's another $150 for these checks, where they'll be free there. So I was curious, is it okay, Terry, to switch banks in the middle of the year? And it's can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
But you shook your head no, that's what, yeah.
No, you can change it. Sometimes it's better to like transition over a period of time.
Right, over a period of time, yeah.
But no, there's no prohibition. You can do that. You just gotta pull out the investment policy and change your depository banks.
So I mean, if you're in agreement.
I think, it's.
Go to branch.
Checks.
They really want to get in this area.
Yeah,
So they're growing.
they're sticking around.
No, I know there's like pioneers in town and so forth, but I just thought if we're going to be using them for the bond in the next 15 years, it'd be convenient, for doing the payments, transfers and stuff, have it right there.
I would make a resolution that the district begin the transition over to the Bank of Greene County, starting this month. And that we complete it as quickly as possible.
I'll second that.
Roll call. Nick?
Aye.
Yes, Chris? Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Rich? Aye.
officially known as the Green County Commercial Bank.
Green County Commercial Bank. That's right.
I'm done under the finance section. Chris. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Long range planning. Ryan, Nick,
No, nothing.
Yeah.
policies, procedures, and membership.
No report.
Thank you, Brian. Nick, Brian again. What's that?
I have,
Chief,
I got something.
we got some.
I got something. I have to sign the pending flex paperwork. So
No, we did that last week or last month.
well, I gotta sign for Michelle. I gotta sign something for her. She's next week. All
Well, and Flex and Michelle are two different.
right, whatever. I gotta sign something. Then I misunderstood that.
Okay.
I gotta sign something for Michelle. So. I
Is she home yet?
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
got
she's
it.
got
Sorry.
it. Stop.
I got an email.
I guess I had it wrong.
Her Jeep was there saying it was.
I have nothing.
IT stuff. Nick,
I'm gonna refer this to Bob. He deals with it all the time.
Well, the board heard under correspondence about the increase. So you already have that. And Sean is also breaking the bill down so that the departments get appropriately charged, right, Sean?
Well, yeah, I was gonna get it that much on here.
Oh, okay. The quote for the S2 network renewal. So about 2 years ago, we had a failure of our control box for the door fob access system. And we have traditionally not renewed that renewal contract. We've just taken our chances, sort of let it ride. The problem is what they're doing, they're getting you on the back end no matter what anyway. So if they know that you haven't renewed with them for 4 years, they're basically tacking on 4 years worth and they're getting it. And then chances are, if you had an equipment failure of some sort, you're paying, that's in addition to just the renewal contract. So I think, it's gonna serve us better just to be current with this, especially with the fact that the equipment is starting to age a little bit and we could have firmware issues with these wireless door fob readers and the hardwired door fob readers. Everything over at Wyattsville is pretty much wired. We have a lot of wireless here at Freesville. So, my recommendation would be that we go ahead, we renew this. This renewal will bring us current up to 5/31/2024. So that's when this would expire for this $3,000 quote and bring us, so to say, current with our firmware software renewal agreement with them. And this, I could tell you that Eclipse really doesn't make a lot of money on that end of it. This is from S2. Okay, that's the manufacturer of it. But because if we have a problem, we're going to have to pay it anyway. And I think budget wise, we should just get in a cycle where we're kind of figuring that into the budget for future years. Yeah.
There's probably gonna be some expansion of that system if we redo the Lansing warehouse as well, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Their renovations and their factory.
Yeah, definitely. So that would be my recommendation on that.
We'll be ready for it. The resolution.
I'll make a resolution that we renew the contract for $3,004.28. Second by Richard. Roll call.
Rich, I'm Brian. Hi. Chris.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
I have, I asked Bobby to put on their purchase key fobs. I think I have like 4 left, so I'm gonna investigate purchasing. Yeah, we just need it, yeah.
Yep.
And then I really want to go into executive session because I'm embarrassed, but I want to Brian mad at me to extend the meeting. I feel disappointed in myself in that I made a mistake for the last 3 years. I encountered. And that is, and it kind of fell about because of COVID. That's my excuse. But historically, I would bill departments for their portion of the contract for Eclipse. So it'd come out to be like $1,000 a year or something like that. I didn't do that. So I'm going to start getting back on track, send them quarterly billing. I'm going to send them a letter to the chief and to the president, let them know that, you know, the board was gracious enough to cover these costs during the COVID period of time, but we're going to get back on track with the billing and reimbursement for the contract, service contract. So sorry about that. Just wanted to let you know, in case a question were to come about, how come you're getting billed again?
So,
I screwed up. COVID's over with.
I asked the question why they weren't being billed.
You want to go executive session?
No, I was just, I wanted to do that so I didn't get egg on my face.
Maybe. Plan review, Ryan, Nick, Chiefs.
Okay, anyway, we did send a letter out for partners. Chief Blue and I went down and met with the Rossetti's for, you know, location where they want to get, idea where the hydrant is going to be, and everything down there looked good. So that we went down to the future Chick-fil-A, that with Bill Miller, to discuss fire department connection locations and stuff. While there, I did bring up the night of the meeting over Wine Skill, Chief Fisher Skifo found some issues with that 4-lot subdivision near Ferris with some road issues. I did bring up those concerns with Bill Miller at the site down there and looked into it. Unfortunately, because it's like a subdivision, there's not a lot of comment sort of planning board procedures. It's more of a conversation back and forth for the town as far as making sure the enforcement fire today concerning State driveways are long, windy. We've had issues with the house just down the street from there. I think it was last year where we literally hit it back 9/7 quarter mile, and it's windy, narrow, and wide enough for a fire truck to go by that road. So it's hard to stay on top of the town as they go forward with this, but it doesn't really go through the planning board process, but it was brought up, those concerns were brought up with them, and down Chick-fil-A. So other than that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, we in the town right pretty much have a major project going on at the end of Glenmore Road with the army down there. That's like I forget how many $1 million, 16, 18 $1 million project or whatever going on down there. And I did ask some of the people that work for the town, did we get drawings or anything for that? And because they're government, you don't have to, but you know, we should just be aware of what's going on down there also.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't everyone in front of the planning board, so I think it just
Planning, it doesn't have to, you know.
Stirs and
Sadly.
yeah, they
That's
do have
gonna
a
be a
major.
massive project, and I think that the pole around those buildings too down there.
But the future thing else to keep an eye on is over your way there at Whiteview. That whole project where they knocked down all the trees.
Yeah.
Go, we can talk back up. That'll be on the radar soon.
I got an email today about a meeting that I've been invited to us for my zoning board hat. But it's about a project at Blooming Grove and Washington. So it's that ongoing discussion about the auto repair, body shop, slash, whatever. I don't know what the scope of that is, but that looks like that's continuing to move because they scheduled a meeting on that. So I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, it's a lot of publication. It was in front of the planning board once, and a lot of the local concerns was water and pollution.
Yeah.
All kinds of runoff and stuff. It's a lot of
Or if it's something that I see heading towards either fire district or the environment itself, I'll flag Brian and make sure they use them.
Anything else? Fireback operations. Which, I know one thing there, but
I don't have anything, but Bob's got a note there on, state chiefs.
Well, just to, you know, we brought it up, I think maybe later last year or very early this year. And, you know, if the chiefs are looking to authorize people to go, nobody's authorized me from the board to book any rooms, to do anything. And I will tell you the hands-on training portion, it books up fast. So if people are looking to go, they're gonna have to get stuff into you guys soon.
well, we usually blow it block room.
We haven't used it, but we haven't reached here.
The rooms aren't like they used to be. Like if we knew we needed 2 or 3 rooms, we can get them now. It's not usually a problem. We've been going to the Crown, and we've had no issues.
So obviously the state chief shows June 14th to the 17th on the center of Syracuse. The chiefs have anybody who wants to go, I would probably recommend that. Banks get paperwork back to Bob as fast as we can, so he can get you rooms and make sure that you're all squared away.
Have money in training, so you can have money available for training, so
Yeah,
it's not like it's.
no, if you go out early. You're going there, yeah. Nothing else, Rich? All right. Open up for public session. Anything for public session? I have a motion. Open return. Guys over there. All in favor? Aye.